Dr Surin Pitsuwan has been ASEAN's Secretary General for the past 5 years. His term ends in December. Secretary General, welcome to the program.
Mr. Middleton, it's a pleasure.
You are about to retire. You've seen a lot of change in the last 5 years. ASEAN has become a much more influential body. I wonder if we could start by asking you, what has been the single most important highlight of your time as Secretary General, do you think?
When I came into the office in early 2008, I've been saying I've been baptized. I have been baptized by Cyclone Nargis in Myanmar. You remember that?
I do.
140,000 lives perished right away. We had to go in to help 4 million more, just teetering between life and death. And then we brought the world in, we brought the UN in. You know, Myanmar then was a different category, different kind of country.
And do you think that what happened then has in part contributed
to
the opening up
That's the point. So I guess one of the most gratifying experiences has to be the opening up of Myanmar, which I think ASEAN has contributed to by engaging them, bringing the world in and raising the level of comfort of the leadership of Myanmar, the people of Myanmar, that the world is, after all, not very, very hostile.
Let's talk about the events of the week.
Yes.
As ASEAN has become more significant, more influential, attracted other nations into its forums, one of the side effects of that is that the stakes get higher.
Yes.
Do the nations of ASEAN feel a bit buffeted, perhaps even bullied by the big powers that now sit around the table, particularly the United States and China?
I think what we realize is we have to be a neutral broker of all these power plays, if I may use that term, between and among external powers around us. We can't do it alone to achieve our own objective, our own vision of one community here among us 10. We need to involve a lot of them. And then we found ourselves being in the middle of the growth region of the world. Your Prime Minister, Mrs. Gilead, calls us the engine room of global recovery. So, being that center of this gravity, we must know that there will be a lot of other external powers would want to converge on our forum, on our stage. There is no other Asia-wide or region-wide legitimate recognized as the ASEAN forum, ASEAN stage, or ASEAN process.
Let's talk about the South China Sea for a moment. A very difficult issue for ASEAN, very different interests among not only its own members but among its dialogue partners as well. What does it say, though, about the effectiveness of the organisation that you should end this series of meetings with such division on the issue?
We are still growing together. We are still trying to integrate not only economically but in norms, in perceptions, in vision, and in the way in which we handle our differences. I think what the chair here was trying to say is that on this issue, at this particular meeting, let us try to contain the spillover effect.
But you are no closer to dealing with this issue, which is so important for global trade.
It is important. It is
Asian
important.
Trade, than you were a year ago.
It is important, it is challenging, but I would say we have come a long way from July this year. Because July this year we could not issue a communique at all on this issue because of this issue. Now, the way in which the issue was brought up was very civil, was very courteous to each other. We have our interests in the stability and security of this particular body of waters. That's pretty much the tone.
Before I leave this issue, do you think that it is possible to manage this via bilateral negotiations where the trade-off for China for that is agreement on a regional development zone, And also, would China then be prepared to agree to some US involvement in maritime security?
We only have to wait for the new leadership in Beijing. How flexible they want to be, they can be. And then whether that point of decision is going to be made, is going to arrive in the next year or two, that point of agreeing for what we would call a joint development area, which is something that Thailand and Malaysia have been doing for the past 10 years, exploring the resources in the body of waters that we could not agree how to demarcate. Leave that for the future, but along the way, let us benefit from the resources.
Indeed. Secretary General, you've been extremely generous to me and our viewers over the years. Thank you very much.
It's my honour and it's a pleasure.
And happy trails.
Thank you very much, Jim.